Hello everyone, my name is AndWhat5, and today I am going to teach you how to set up an Eclipse workspace for Minecraft Forge on OS X, and of course this will also work for Microsoft Windows. There will just be a little bit of a difference, and I will try my best to explain that difference. If you do not find it satisfactory, then I will be more than happy to create a second video explaining it on a Windows machine. So you're going to need a couple programs in order to set up said workspace. First, you're going to need to download Eclipse. So what we are going to do is we are going to download Eclipse, or I'm going to show you where to download Eclipse. You can download it at eclipse.org. And Eclipse is more or less an IDE, which is a development environment for setting up Java programs. It is commonly used. So you can download this. If you enjoy using IntelliJ, that's fine as well. However, that will not be covered in this video. So go ahead and download it here. You can find it by hitting download here. And it should download 64-bit. And once you do that, you click download, and it will automatically start downloading. Now, of course, I don't need it because I already have it installed. So we're going to skip the installation there. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just follow the steps. You're also going to want to install Java JDK, and you're going to want to install Java JDK 8. Yes, I know I already have Java installed, thank you. So as you can see here, once you Google that, you'll be redirected to oracle.com, which is Java's website. And of course, you'll see many different distributions here. You're going to want to do Java SE Development Kit 8U. Any number after that is pretty much just fine. Right now, they're downloading 181. But as long as it says Java Kit 8U, you should be fine. So of course, then you're going to want to choose the Java that you want to download. I'm using OS X, so you would first accept the license and agreement. We'll thank you for that. And then you'll choose the one that you're using. For OS X, choose OS X 64-bit, and then download this right here. If you are running Windows, you're going to want to click the last one, Windows 64-bit, download it right here. Unless, for whatever reason, you were running a 32-bit machine, then you're going to want to download Windows 86 right here. If you are indeed running a 32-bit machine, I recommend getting a better computer. No one has those these days. If you run into any problems in regards to memory, that's on you, because it's only going to let you allocate 1 GB of RAM to Minecraft, and you might have a difficult time with that. So of course, Windows 64-bit if you're running Windows, OS X, 64-bit if you're running OS X. And once you download that, it's going to go through the process of installing Java. Once it is installed, it's a very self-explanatory process. It should set your system definitions automatically, so I will not have to go over that. If you do have problems with your system definitions, go ahead and do a quick Google search for setting Java system definitions following the operating system that you have, and I'm sure there are a lot of support articles in relation to that. So of course, once you have Java and Eclipse downloaded and installed, the only thing left that you're going to need is Minecraft Forge. So we're going to download Minecraft Forge. And it's going to be at files.minecraftforge.net. And what you're going to want to do, we're going to be doing 1.12.2, so you're going to want to use the recommended. I always recommend using recommended builds because according to Forge, that is the most stable build to use. And it is always a good idea to use what the developers recommend as stable, because they generally know what is best, and I say generally very frugally. So we're going to install MDK. So you click on MDK, skip, and once you hit skip, Forge will be downloaded right here. And of course, we have all of the stuff in here. It just happens to automatically unzip it for me. For Windows, you're going to just want to unzip that into the folder that you're going to be using. So first things first, let's create a folder for what we are going to call our workspace. So I already have a special little folder for development. I recommend, for good practice, creating a folder for development. I put mine in, so you can see, my OS X disk, and then users, Avery, and you will see development. I put mine here and I pinned it right here. So it's a nice little way to make sure to keep track of all of your documents. And then I use subcategories here. So we're going to put this into personal projects. And we're going to clean that up. So we are going to call this workspace, let's say, Broadcaster Workspace. For this, I recommend not using spaces. You can if you really want to, but you know. So we're going to do Broadcaster Workspace, and then I like having an extra folder in here, Broadcast-Development. And then inside of Broadcast Development, you are going to want to copy and paste all of the stuff here. So we are going to copy it, and we're going to paste it. So all of the files are here. Now, of course, the most important file is your build.gradle. It is going to have all of the necessary information for your particular plugin. So we're going to briefly configure this. We don't really need to at the moment. It should be fine. But if you want to do this, you can. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. So for here, we have our group. So this is basically going to be your packaging. There are naming conventions. You can Google the naming conventions. If you have a website, it's basically your website backwards. In this case, I am going to do co.card.andwhat5 because that's my website. And the archive's base name is going to be permission broadcaster, because that is the plugin that we're going to be creating, or the mod rather. And the version, we are going to do my personal preference for Minecraft naming conventions is first using the Minecraft version it's compatible with, so 1.12.2, then a hyphen, and then the version of the mod, 1.0.0. So once you have that done, when you actually go to compile it, it will automatically name your mod based on what you put in here, which is really nice. So you don't have to rename it later. Just make sure to update all of the information that you put in here. And of course, we're going to save this. Now, you can modify this more if you feel like you need to modify it. If you have any dependencies and resources, you're going to have to modify these right here. I don't expect to be using that for this particular mod, so there won't be any necessary to do that. However, there are some cases where you will need to edit it. If you do need to edit it, I would suggest checking out Gradle and see if they have any tutorials in regards to that. So once we have edited basically our little setup right here, we're going to close that out. Now after that, we have several other files. When it really comes down to it, the only file you need is build.gradle. It already comes with Gradle W installed, and Gradle W is basically how you're going to set up your workspace. I already have Gradle installed on my computer. If you want to check out how to do a manual installation of Gradle on your machine, you can look that up later, so where it is in your system definitions. I believe it's as just simple as doing an install through command line on OS X. So what we are going to do is we are going to do cd development ls cd personal projects ls cd broadcaster workspace ls cd broadcast development. And in Windows, you can shift and right click on the folder that you're in. Windows 10 will allow you to pull up the PowerShell window. You can totally do it in PowerShell. Alright, so once you actually are in this directory, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use /Gradle. If I can type, thank you. And once you do that, you're going to do setup, decomp, workspace, Eclipse, and case sensitive matters. Now on Windows, it is going to be, I forgot the W. Make sure to include the W there, that's very important. On Windows, you do not need the /. You can just run it normally, just like Gradle W. If you are using OS 10, you're going to want to do a /, just like that. So the system knows you're referring to a file, not a system definition. So once you hit enter there, it is going to download all of the Gradle information. For most people, it is going to take a little bit of time. I happen to have a pretty decent computer and some of the stuff cached, so it'll take me less time. Just give it a little while, be patient, and once it is done, we will continue on with the tutorial. So I will be right back. Okay guys, so as you can see, it is successfully built. It has done all of the stuff and the things. Once the stuff and the things are done, you'll notice there are a couple new folders and files that are made right here. So what we're going to want to do now is, now that this is all set up and it's ready for Eclipse, we're going to want to launch Eclipse right here. So once you launch Eclipse, it is going to ask for a workspace, as you can see right here. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to hit Browse, and you're going to want to navigate to the folder that your workspace is in. In my case, Personal Projects, Broadcaster Workspace, Broadcast Development, and then inside of there, there's going to be an Eclipse folder. You're going to want to point it to the Eclipse folder. Once you've done that, hit Open, and then hit Launch. Eclipse will then load all of the definitions that have been provided to it inside of there, and there will be a little project right over here. And if you open it up, you can see that we have source main Java and the resources. So these are going to be our source folders. Let's make this a little larger for the people in the back. So more or less, this is our Package Explorer. Let me explain that first. The Package Explorer is where all of your files are going to be. Down here, we have our problems. So if you have any errors with your code, you'll be able to see those problems here. And once you double click them, it will actually jump to it, which is great. Once you go to launch the actual Minecraft, there will be a console thing down here. So you'll be able to see your console. This stuff over here is pretty much useless, so you don't need to worry about it too much. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up source main Java, and it already is preloaded with an example mod, which does pretty much nothing. It has a couple events. We're not going to worry about that. So instead, like intellectuals, we are going to delete, and OK. And there we go. Now what we're going to do is we are going to hit New, Package. And we discussed packaging before. If you have a website, use that. If not, you can use whatever you'd like. Just make sure you have a package. co.card.and.what5. And then hit Finish. And then you make your first class, which as you can see right here. So just so I could slow down a little bit, you right-click this and then hit New. And you will have a whole bunch of different options that you can choose from. Most of the time, you won't be using things like folder, file, all of these other things. Most of the time, you'll be using package, class. And these are just things that come with pre-generated code that represents those things. If you're trying to do an interface, obviously use the interface. Enum, use enum. But if not, you can use class. It's not really going to matter anyways. So the first class we're going to call is Broadcaster. And then we're going to hit Finish. And as you can see here, we have our first class. So one of the great features about Eclipse is its code completion. So you can use @mod, which is the annotation for a Forge mod, and then once you've typed that out, you can hit Control Space, and that goes for both the OS X and Microsoft Windows, and it will give you a bunch of options to choose from, in which you can choose from, of course. As you can see, we have the annotation mod here from Net Minecraft Forge FML Common, which is the one we want to use. And you could just go ahead and set that up, and you could do things like name equals permission broadcaster. And you could set a whole bunch of other things up. We'll get into that in the later dates. So that is it for today's episode tutorial on how to create an Eclipse workspace for Minecraft Forge. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like down below and give me some feedback in the comments. I really do appreciate all feedback that you have. It will help make my tutorials better. It will help improve the quality of my content so you can all understand what I'm trying to relay to you. Thank you very much for watching today's episode, and have a great day.